Hey guys, it's Victoria and welcome back to FemmeHead. Today I'm finally going to do that Q&A. I wanted to do one that kind of had to do with running your own business, owning your own business, not getting a real job out of college, and just other general adulting things that have to do with life, because I get asked questions all the time in those areas. So I thought I'm just going to combine it into a Q&A. So let's start on Twitter first. In no particular order, I'm going to try to make it through all of these because I appreciate you guys taking the time to come up with questions, and this might just be a long video. Bridget at Paper Towns Lover asks, do people ever make judgmental comments about your business / being self-employed? If so, how do you overcome the judgment you've received? I think my biggest struggle with creating my own business is getting people to take me seriously, just getting people to see that it is a real job, it is a real source of income, it is a real career, and that there is potential. Not judgment, but I still struggle with getting my dad to accept that it's a real thing. And my mom is like my biggest supporter, so that's cool. Pip Simon at Geek on You something said, what have been your biggest struggles and how do you rise to the challenge? One of my biggest struggles is definitely putting myself out there. As like corny and like generic as it sounds, like you just have to do it. You just have to take that first step, especially when I wanted to start FemmeHead and I didn't know what I wanted it to be. Like I knew I just needed to start somewhere, and that's why I chose YouTube. Now my current kind of struggle is putting myself out there in person. Being in front of a crowd of people is a terrifying challenge that I am going to rise to this coming year. Amber Rowland asked how to know what direction to go in terms of your job / starting your business. I have multiple interests. I'm unsure of which to pursue. I don't think you need to close yourself off to just one thing. When I first started making videos for FemmeHead, I closed myself off to just talking about things that were menstrual related, but I have so many more interests myself, and a lot of people do. And while it's important to, keep a bit of a niche topic, it's okay to spread your wings a little bit. I have found that it's actually been very beneficial for me. I have found that by making videos or making content or doing something that I am myself really interested in, that's just gonna make my days easier and more exciting because I get to do things that I'm curious about. And so I'd say go towards what excites you and don't limit yourself. Angelica M asked, how do you overcome the fear of failure? So it's not so much failure that scares me. I really don't fear that. It's not like a thing in my brain. I don't think I'll fail. I think I'll just have to adapt, and I think failure is a good thing. Like there's gonna be things that don't work out, and that's fine. Like that's not meant to work out, and it just helps you like fine tune what's going to work out or what direction to go into. I would say the biggest fear for me, and it's an unjustified fear, it's called imposter syndrome. Weird fear that someone's gonna call me out. It motivates me to be well-researched, conscious about what words I'm using, how I phrase things, what I actually talk about. On Instagram, Kel McConkey asked, how did you get informed on things like business / income taxes, retirement plans, healthcare, etc., things that a HR department would typically provide? That is a great question because I think that is something we should be taught in school, but we're not. So there are a lot of like adult things that you just have to kind of learn by yourself. And I guess, maybe an HR department would teach you things like that, but I've never had an HR department in my life. So I've had to teach myself everything. I really like personal finance books, and that's kind of what got me informed on personal finance, starting a retirement fund and how to do that and what the best form would be for me. Taxes are something I'm still learning. Healthcare, I would say, so I was on my parents' plan, and then me and Michael got married, and so we have a plan together. Or like we're on the same plan, and we just went through the Affordable Care Act, so Obamacare, and that has been working out great. So I would just say like all of that stuff is just I'm learning as I go. I try to be proactive and learning about stuff before it like bites me in the butt. Cassidy the Bird asks, I run an at-home business, and with being my own boss, some days it seems so easy to be lazy and procrastinate. Do you have any tips for staying on top of things and accomplishing goals? One of the biggest things is to set goals for yourself. If I don't have goals goals don't have any like guidance or direction in where I want to go, and it is so easy to not want to do things, and especially when there's no one checking in on you. I kind of set out a certain time of like, I want to work from like 8 o'clock in the morning to 5 o'clock at night. If I need to go run and get groceries or go visit someone, I'll make time for that. I let myself take breaks when I eat. I find that I usually hit a wall around like 2 p.m. The best thing for me to do is to get up and like go stretch for 10 minutes or do like 15 minutes of yoga or go for a run. I'm so inspired by what other people are doing, and that really motivates me to create stuff myself and to stay on track, especially when you work from home. It's so important, like the environment you create for yourself, the atmosphere. And that's something I've been focusing a lot lately, the past few months, and especially now that it's getting into winter and it's been a bit colder. Bilbo Baggend asked, how did you discover your passion for menstrual health? Do you have any tips for other 20-somethings on how to discover what their true passion is for and how to pursue it? I didn't get interested in any of this until after I graduated from college, but it's been really fascinating to see how what I studied in college and my experience in college led me to what I do now. I think it's definitely all connected. And the reason I got interested in was because of like my personal life. I was having so many issues on the pill. I decided to quit it, and then I was just mind blown about what I had learned, and I wanted to share that with people. So first it was like friends and family, and then the more I learned, the more I read, and the more researched, I just wanted to like bigger stage, I suppose, and I knew there was a need for it because when I was going through the transition, I really struggled finding information. Go towards what you get giddy about. The path is not going to be clear. My path forward from here is still not clear. Like, I have goals and where I would like to see it go. Judith Yoga said, do you have any networking tips? You seem to be a homebody introvert. I am. I mean that in a nice way, like I relate to you, and I think networking is hard but so important for a small business. There's a lot you can do online. For me, especially when I started, there wasn't really anywhere around me, and I definitely looked for, people in businesses here in Iowa or in Des Moines that I could, work for or work with, and I couldn't find that, but I definitely found my community online. So I'd say definitely network online because the world is at your fingertips. But one of my goals moving forward is to get much more involved in my community, and I want to start doing stuff in person. The big thing for me is opportunities do arise for networking, and the goal is to accept those opportunities, and I am one to brush them off because I don't think I'm right for it, or I don't think I'm good enough, smart enough, I don't think I'm informed enough. The opportunities are out there, you just have to keep your eyes open, jump on that. I would say going out to like events and that sort of stuff, and if you go in with the mindset that you want to like meet other people, you can force yourself to do that. Some people are better at networking than other people, but if you know there's a contact or someone that you would like to meet or you think would be beneficial, reach out to them. One of the biggest surprises for me is people's generosity and responses, so don't be afraid to reach out. Kara Cahill asked, how did people react when you told them you wouldn't be getting a conventional job? Did you have a lot of support? So I never came out and said, I'm not getting a job. It was never a question of whether I would be able to financially support myself. I've always gotten jobs when I needed jobs. I looked for jobs, I looked for, the normal jobs, and I just, nothing spoke to me, and I just never went through with applying for anything because I just really did not want that. So I worked in restaurants, painted on the side, came up with FemmeHead, and then while I was nurturing that and growing that, I still worked. Brittany Yeastman said, I'm also curious about choosing the right passion to pursue, something that you're passionate about, but that can ultimately make money. I'd also love to hear how you create courses from ideation, tools for creation, pricing, etc. When I first realized that I had a passion for the menstrual cycle, I would sit there and rack my brain of how I would possibly ever make money or what I could make that people would want to pay me money for, and I couldn't figure it out for the longest time. I decided, nevertheless, to continue to pursue it, even though for a long time I didn't make any money at all. Boozdrov Paulette said, can you give us some tips on how you overcome procrastination fear and lack of motivation when your work isn't paid enough, how to be consistent and still go ahead with your goals and dream. There's a point when you have to learn to let stuff go. You have to remain consistently aware, and once you do something, that doesn't mean you always have to do it that way. Remain flexible and open to change and criticism and whatever it may be. Procrastination and lack of motivation. The biggest time I experience this is right before I start a new project. There's always this like resistance, and once you break through that resistance, or for me at least, then it just all happens. There are certain days where it's just like things aren't going well and I'm super unmotivated. I kind of leave that with that day, and I go into the next day, the next morning, with a fresh perspective of how can today be better than yesterday. I just find that switching things up, remaining flexible and open to changes, and like if something's not working, don't force it to work, change how you go about it. And I find that's just very helpful. Sony June said, does it feel different to finally have a set path ahead of you after graduation? I'm about to graduate, and it's hitting me that for the first time in my life, the next step could be so many things and there's no required next step. This is such a great point and question. Graduation from college is like a slap to the face of reality. The best way that I can describe it, but it's like you're dropped in the middle of the ocean and you can swim whichever way you want to go, but you don't know which way to swim, which direction things are. You don't know where the island is that you need to swim towards. But the thing is, you have to just start swimming, and that's the hardest thing, to just start. Even now, I don't feel like I have a set path. There's still so much uncertainty as well as options, potential. Especially after graduation, you have time. Do not stress yourself out about having to get the perfect job right away, because you're not going to get it. Don't feel stuck there. There's always the opportunity for growth and change, and especially these days, people don't stay in the same job. You're gonna have like 4 or 5 career changes before the age of 30. The Starry Mind asked, how did you get your life together without a regular job or someone telling you what to do and when? A lot of soul searching, I would say, especially when I graduated from college. These are the things that I need to have money for, so I need to make sure I have enough money for that. But then also, like, my biggest goal, and still my goal today, is just what do I want out of life? What do I want out of my days? And not so much necessarily about the job I want to have, but the lifestyle I want to have. As long as you can financially support yourself and you enjoy your days and you're helping out in some way, then life's good. Like, don't overcomplicate things. Natalie Bacon said, this is totally random question, but how do you get your Insta engagement so high? Even though I have a Facebook and a Twitter, I put most of my effort into my Instagram. That's the social media platform I prefer and I enjoy. Lisa Taver asked, did you ever get anxiety over posting things on social media, and how did you overcome it and not care what people think? I've never really concerned myself about posting stuff on social media. I try not to take it too seriously, especially if I'm promoting like a video or a blog post. I'll usually write out my caption beforehand. Having it written out just helps. Very conscious about what I post. I would never post something I didn't feel comfortable with. Future Kim 5, I would love to make a YouTube channel and have many ideas, but the fear of putting myself out there, being seen by everyone, especially old people I know from high school or college or future employers, is just too high for me. Did you have problems of that kind when you started, and how did you deal with them? I don't know. I don't think about that much, but then, like, people's parents will say, oh, I saw this on your channel, or, people that I didn't even think watch stuff on FemmeHead. When I go to make my videos, I try not to think about like the particular people that might watch them. I'm not embarrassed by it. I definitely wouldn't put out stuff that I was gonna be embarrassed by. Do it if you want to make YouTube videos. Totally do it. It's so much fun. It's so worth it, and it is a fun little adventure, and you get to meet awesome people. So start a YouTube channel. Area Get Busra asked, how should we get courage to leave what we have to do for a living and start an unconventional job as a free human, being like running your own job, but then the risk is that you may fail? You don't have to jump off the cliff. You don't have to dive off the deep end right away. Don't quit your day job. Keep your means of financial freedom and start something on the side. No matter how small it is, no matter how silly it may seem, start that and see where it goes. And one day it may, be able to replace your real job, and it might not be, and that might be okay. Don't feel like you have to 100% commit and jump in. Catherine 4 asked, how did you know it was okay for you to quit your job? Did you wait until you were making the same amount of money consistently from your business? A year or two ago, I started, paying more attention to personal finance and just finance in general and money. And I kept track of how much I was making my other job, what I needed to pay for things. And I kind of had a number in mind of what I needed to do. And then after a few months I probably should have waited longer. After a few months of like hitting that number, finally just like got this feeling of like, it's time to leave. It's time to go out on my own. Free Gentle Flower said, feeling like your opinions and topics are valid and credible. I struggle a lot with this. We as humans have a lot of opposing and growing and shifting beliefs. So how do you stay confident in the information you're delivering? I don't want to offend anyone, and I try not to do that. I spent a lot of time researching, reading, and just informing myself, and I won't put out something if I don't feel confident in the information I'm delivering. Prize myself and outshine what I thought I was capable of. Those moments of like, you can do it, like you're awesome. If you feel confident in it and you're like, no, I know what I'm talking about, or like this matters, then put it out there. People are gonna get offended. I once offended a lady because I drank coffee. So, and it's okay to have a different opinion than someone. It doesn't mean you're out to get them. Adarosa said, time management. How do you balance work and play when running your own business? Time management, set yourself a schedule. And sometimes if I'm really feeling it in the morning and it's going great, and in the afternoon I'm kind of like doing other things I shouldn't be doing, then if there's still stuff that needs to get done, I'll just, work a couple hours in the evening and get it done. I can leave in the middle of the day and go see my sister and go grocery shopping when it's not going to be overrun with other people. How to build credibility. Do as much as you can on your end to inform yourself, to educate yourself, to keep up with whatever it is, the topic that you're talking about. And at some point you just have to start putting yourself out there, and you will surprise yourself because other people will find you credible. Jessica May Art said, I'm in the process of creating my own freelance art and online shop, have been at it for 5 years, and the last 2 years have been progressively busier and busier, almost overwhelmingly busy. How do you keep up with the steady growth, and what have you found to be the biggest challenge? Especially when starting your own business, you have to wear all the hats. If it gets to a point where you can afford it, hire and help for the things you don't want to do or you're not good at, but then also know when to let projects or things go. Maybe it's time to raise your prices. Process said, my fiance is starting his own business. What is the best way to support your partner through this? So a great example of this is Michael has his own business as well. I go and help out at events. I have a role, whatever it may be. But if there's something that you can do to kind of be like an employee, emotional support, there's going to be stressful times keeping up with what's going on in his like business world and trying to be a voice of like reason or understanding, or to like talk him off the ledge or encourage him and like build up his confidence or his spirit. And I think that may have been the last question. This is going to be a long video. If you made it to this point, you're awesome. I hope you enjoyed today's video. It's always fun to just like answer people's questions, and it makes you think about things. If you guys have a topic for another Q&A you want me to do, comment that down below. Do not forget to subscribe, follow me on social media, check out my vlog channel, and I will see you guys in my next video. Bye!